Hello, Lamer Gamers. This is Simply Travis and
Rowdy 5000
for the Lamer Gamers podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the top gaming news from this week, including the surprise Game Gear micro release. Nyko is now offering relief for people and Nintendo's affected by their portable dock, Minecraft Dungeons DLC releasing in July, and we'll read Sony's announcement about the PS5 debut that has been postponed. Afterwards, we'll give you impressions of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Minecraft Dungeons, Maneater, and Assassin's Creed's Origins. Then we're adding a special bonus points section where we ask a couple questions to end the show, including, what if Cyberpunk 2077 sucks? And does Travis think that Google Stadia is worth buying after he's finally played Stadia Pro?
Dude, I'm pretty excited about this conversation.
It's going to get wild. Maybe. We'll see. Now, we are doing a little bit of format changing, so if you listen to our regular shows, this is where we're changing. We normally go straight into the games that we're playing, but we're going to put news first, then do the impressions, then hop into that bonus points section. All right. Rowdy, you ready?
I sure am.
Now let's eat a suit of armor and the license plates from every single state and Mako our way to the Clovis Bay as we hammerhead our enemies to their watery graves in the latest episode of the Lamer Gamers podcast.
Cue the music.
Now, before we get started, if you like what we're doing, don't forget to press up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. Then like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Also, check out @LamerGamersCast on Twitter and throw a review down on Apple Podcast or Podchaser. Yeah.
Hey, so you know what's funny about that Konami code that we say there is there's actually quite a few different ways to do that code. That is the version for Contra's single player to get, I want to say it's 99 or 30 lives.
What we need to do is switch it up every episode, and people have to figure out which one it is.
Because it was used in quite a few Konami games. I don't even think Contra was the first one that got it. But yeah, it was used in a few of them, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Awesome.
It should be required. Any game that actually has well, no games have cheats these days. They have microtransactions. But
yeah, it's called DLC. That's what
if a game does have cheats these days, it should be required to be that code.
I agree with you. That should be mandatory law in all 50 states. Except for we're not going to allow the outlying states like Puerto Rico. They have to use God mode. I don't know. Don't know where that joke's going. All right, let's go ahead and get to some news. Nintendo recently sold 4.2 million Switch units worldwide just in March.
That's a lot of Switch units.
That's a lot of Switch units. Now, if you have been looking for a Switch, like me, and have not been able to find one, well, now we know why. They sold 4.2 million Switch units just in March before all the crazy went down with the gobbles. By the way, if you're listening and you don't know what the gobbles are, that is our code word for things that are going on that are bad in your body.
Of a viral nature.
Of a viral nature, yes. The gobbles have stopped Nintendo production. So,
well,
yeah.
Not only that, you've also got these ridiculous, bots, or these programs that automatically buy Switches when they come in stock from all these online websites.
Yep.
And it's absolutely ridiculous, man. They're just buying up all these Switches and then trying to resell them for a profit.
Man, on eBay, they're $400 or $500.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, people are trying to sell them for profit, but people are paying. So
it's gonna be bad when Switches are cheaper than the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
It's gonna be bad when Switchers are cheaper than oil. Boom!
Oh, all right. Okay, so next up, Nyko has problems. If you've never used a Nyko product, I don't see any next to me right now. I'm surprised, actually. Nyko is a third party that makes accessories for video games. If you are a gamer at all, then you know what I'm talking about.
Not necessarily quality.
Yeah, sometimes good. Sometimes garbage. And, well, in fact, they had such a problem with Nyko portable docks. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, because this has not been a problem for a while. This, I guess you can't see it if you're listening to the podcast, but the Nintendo Switch dock is the thing that holds your Switch. You know, it's the outside of the toaster that your Switch bread lives in, and it transfers games to your Nintendo screen. That is the technical process for how it works. Well, Nyko released some docks, but they weren't big boxy toasters all the time. Some of them were little toasters. Some of them were just like little, I hate this word, dongles. And if you purchase one that suffered a malfunction and have not yet received compensation from Nyko, you may be entitled to relief. I feel like a attorney commercial, you know. We need like some stuff across the screen.
877 cash now.
No, not that one. That's the money thing. Have you been affected by Nyko portable docking relief or not docks? If so, call this number now. You could be entitled up to $50 from Amazon.com with the gift card. No, that's literally the news.
I was typing into Twitch. Did you say what these docks did?
What? No, I did not. So the docks actually, so there were some issues. I'm going to get technical. So nerd alert right here, minor nerd alert. The docks were USB-C, right? So Nintendo uses that. Well, the specifications for USB-C were not properly coded for Nyko, and there was an issue with the amount of electricity that was going through said dock, potentially
turning your Switch into a paperweight.
Yes, what he said. So, because of this, Nyko gave a gift card for these docks that didn't work, and if it damaged your Nintendo Switch, they will reimburse you for any repairs made upon receipt of proof of payment of repairs. Now, this was quite a while back. Like, this was the beginning of the Switch era when people, you know, were trying to save a little bit of money because these stinking Nintendo Switch docks are $80 a piece, but at least they don't catch your Nintendo Switch on fire.
That is true.
You know, because the Nyko docks were like $40. So
it was actually probably safer to put your Switch in an actual toaster than the Nyko.
Yeah, probably
docks.
A little bit less heat too. Yeah. Let's see. Next up, let me know whenever you want. Well, I guess we'll just go in order what's on our list, huh?
Oh, we skipped over the Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Did I? Hey, do you want to tell me about that?
So, the first of the DLCs is being released, the Isle of Armor, on June 17th. Now, I do not remember the exact specifics. I know that as per Sword or Shield, you get... Let's see. Okay, so the Pokemon you get, depending on the version you got, is what fighting type? No.
It was the same Pokemon, type. But there were two different style fighting thingies, right? That's the technical process, guys. Yeah.
So then it takes place on the Isle of Armor, obviously, and you train with this guy. I think his name is Mustard, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds like a legit name.
It's this old man Pokemon trainer, and he teaches you all this stuff, and then you take on the Isle of Armor, and then you get, what is it? Oh God, I forget everything.
It's cool. Hey, the important thing is though that it's releasing on June 17th. So if you are a fan of the Pocket Monsters, yeah.
Oh, in the update, it brings a lot of the Pokemon that weren't available in Pokemon Sword and Shield to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Gotcha. This actually gave them time to update a lot of the stuff in the game. So
some of the older Pokemon that have been just kind of sitting around waiting for their chance to shine?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so next up, there is a new Xbox store coming. It is codenamed Mercury, and the app for the Xbox store leaked by mistake on an earlier insider program build from Russia. With love.
From Mother Russia.
Yes, so the Windows community, this is the most original name for a Windows community. It's @WinCommunity. So it is very similar to how the store works on the Xbox app on PC already. Now, there are some changes. Trailers load in a smaller box automatically, rather than the loudest trailers playing in the world.
Dude, so annoying.
I hate the Microsoft store right now. It's just like you're quietly reading a game, and then it's like, in a world, blah.
I know we had this conversation before we started the podcast, but I don't like any gaming store right now. They're all terrible. Yeah. And I forgot to talk about how terrible the Switch store is.
Yeah, especially because it really focuses on 3-cent games.
Oh, God.
I like how Skylar in the Twitch chat right now, and you can never get the trailers to stop when you want them to or play when you want them to. That is correct. By the way, if you are listening to us on the podcast, we do post that we go live on Twitch. Tonight we have some people hanging out, including Midwest Meltdown Podcast and our friend Skylar, who's occasionally an honorary member of the Lamer Gamers Podcast. But yeah, hey Rowdy, guess what?
What's up?
The Xbox store sucks. So it's supposed to be cleaner and faster.
The PS4 store is not much better, man.
Yeah, and neither is the Nintendo store.
Prior to this generation, the Xbox 360 and PS3 stores were absolutely amazing. I loved them so much. It's so easy to get around. They looked real good. Now, ugh. All right. Yeah. Next subject. New
Microsoft Dungeons DLC.
Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons DLC. I mean, it's about the same thing. It's Microsoft owned now. They bought it from Notch. Anyway, it is called Jungle Awakens. It is, well, currently the game has 14 levels, including the secret ones, by the way. If you don't know, there are secret levels inside Minecraft Dungeons. Now, if you're a die-hard action RPG fan that plays Diablo, and you can basically put down 30 hours of gameplay before you have your first snacky snack, then you've probably beaten Minecraft Dungeons.
Wow.
You're going to have to talk for me anytime that comes up.
Wow.
Yeah. I like we have somebody in the chat going, Microsoft Dungeons, the new work environment for the 12th century. I love it. Anyway. Yeah. So the thing is, Jungle Awakens will release in July. There are going to be 3 new dungeons across this jungle biome style map. If you've played Minecraft, not Microsoft Craft, then you know that there are different biomes as you travel around the game. This is what Microsoft said. In this adventure, you'll enter a distant, dangerous jungle to fight a mysterious power in 3 new missions. To defeat the terrors hidden among the vines, you'll have new weapons, armor, and artifacts at your disposal. Yeah. Sounds intense, man. Now, of course, it's going to include new... Okay, so there's going to be enemies called Leapers. Now, I've played Minecraft, right? You've played Minecraft, right?
I love Minecraft. I'm not as diehard as most people. I'm actually a filthy casual, like my brother calls me. But I really love Minecraft. It's awesome, man.
What's a leaper? Okay, you don't know. It sounds like something that would be on Resident Evil.
I thought that said leper.
Yeah. Then they're also going to have whisperers and poison quills and definitely more boss mods. It's not official, but that's the guess. The first screenshot tends to show a combination of like a jungle stylization, cacti. Now, somebody said living cacti. And stuff. Poisonous plants. Sorry, I lost where I was at. Microsoft also confirmed that the next DLC is something called Creeping Winter. and it's set to arrive later this year. However, the Nintendo Switch store states that it's coming in September 2020.
Well, I won't believe it until I see it in Walmart Canada.
That is true. Walmart Canada is the best place to find things. Now, creeping winter is coming, says Skylar. Now, Microsoft has confirmed crossplay. Y'all remember last episode we talked about there was a bug that allowed you to play Windows 10 and Xbox games together through crossplay by a bug that's really more of a feature. Well, yeah, the cat's out of the bag, or the creeper's out of the bag, and you can play that'll be coming up soon. Also, it looks like they're going to continue this cycle. So if you are looking to continue scratching that Diablo of an itch that you've been waiting for, waiting for Diablo 4 to drop, this should be the game to do it.
I like this game better.
Really? Oh, you're going to make somebody angry.
I know.
Because I noticed you told me the other day that people are saying that this game is Diablo for babies. What are your thoughts?
So, dude, it really is just a Diablo clone. But it's so much more simple. And that's why I like it. I mean, it kind of sucks that you can't pick, like, your class, and you can't get near as in-depth with customization, but I'm okay with that. I don't know. I just got lost playing Diablo. I guess I never just really gave it enough time.
You need at least 100 hours to start understanding Diablo.
Yeah, I gave it maybe a tenth of that.
Yeah. And it really helps to have friends that knows what they're doing. Mad props to Skylar and Gunslinger. Yeah, they helped me through some tough times. But we will be talking more about Minecraft Dungeons.
Yep.
Later.
Again. And
I will probably say it wrong another time. All right. Let's see. Next up. So the PS5 event that was scheduled for June 4th has been postponed. So this is their statement that they have released. We have decided to postpone the PlayStation 5 event scheduled for June 4th. While we understand gamers worldwide are excited to see PS5 games, we do not feel that right now is a time for celebration. And for now, we want to stand back and allow more important voices to be heard. So if you're looking for the PlayStation event to have released, hopefully by the time this podcast release, they'll have a new date in place. But as of this moment, it is going to be pushed back. Now, there is some news, though. Tell us about this next thing, Rowdy.
So, the PlayStation Days of Play is a sale that Sony has every year for, a lot of the times, it's hardware along with, every time it's games, but sometimes they include hardware with it. So, I wanted to kind of cherry pick a lot of the better deals that I've seen so far. So, I actually haven't turned my PlayStation on to look at them. But I did find a lot of stuff from like Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon, because this also goes for physical games as well. Because you can't buy digital games by Sony or for PlayStation anywhere but the Sony store. They had a whole bunch of bogus, I guess, codes sold on like Amazon and stuff like that. So they absolutely stopped that. You could only buy digital games from them now. So all of these that I'm going to talk about are going to be physical games right now. Let's see. Best Buy has The Last of Us Remastered for $9.99. That's $10. One of the greatest games in the past decade. In the past ever for $10. I mean,
Rowdy, do you like this game?
Kind of. I mean, honestly, dude, it's at least it's top five favorite games of all time. It's that good. Let's see, God of War 2018 is also $9.99. Dudes
and dudettes
up. No, dudes is a unisex term, man.
Oh, okay, sorry, I got my terms mixed up.
You don't remember that song from years ago from what was it, Keenan and Kel?
Oh, dudes.
I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes.
We're all
hey.
dudes. Yeah.
Um,
I forgot about that show. I love that show.
dude, that's literally why I say dude all the time, no matter how the person identifies. Let's see here. God of War 3 Remastered, $9.99. You know what? I'm just going to say $9.99 for all of these because Best Buy has all of these games for $9.99. Horizon Zero Dawn, another PlayStation title that is definitely in my top 10 games of all time. One of the best new IPs that I've seen in the past 5 years or so. Neo, that is a Sony only. I mean, I don't want to call it like a Soulsborne type game, but it's in the vein of those games.
I don't want to say it is, but if it walks like a Soulsborne and it talks like a Soulsborne, and if you miss the button press in a millisecond and you die like a Soulsborne, it's a Soulsborne game. So, did we lose you?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna say, if it quacks like a Soulsborne game, then it's probably a Soulsborne game.
Specifically, if it quacks like a Soulsborne game. I'm going to be talking about Ducks later too, which is really funny. Yeah.
So also, let's see here. So you can get Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which is Uncharted 1 through 3, all on one disc for $9.99. You get Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, $9.99, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy for $9.99. So for $30, you could play every single Uncharted game except for the one that was on PlayStation Vita. That was called The Golden Abyss. And then there was a turd of a card game that they made for it. So you could play all of the Uncharted games that actually were good for $30. That's 5 games. And there were a bunch of numbers from beginning to end.
And all I remember was $9.99. So games are $9.99 apparently.
My bad. Still, this is all just Best Buy as well.
Now I will say, as I've mentioned in the last episode or two, Best Buy has some good sales right now, y'all.
What else we have here? Little Big Planet 3. Dude, the Little Big Planet series is so good. Ratchet and Clank, as well as Until Dawn. Ratchet and Clank, awesome series. We talked about, quite a few people said Clank was their favorite sidekick in our last side quest about sidekicks. And then Until Dawn, that is a horror game that plays out kind of like a movie. It's definitely a game that's good for backseat gamers. Let's see here. We'll also move on to Amazon deals. They also have The Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, Until Dawn, and Neo, all for $9.99. Walmart has Last of Us, Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, Infamous Second Son, amazing game, Uncharted Lost Legacy, and Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, all, again, $9.99. Let's see here. So some more at Best Buy. For $19.99, you can get Marvel Spider-Man, Days Gone, both of those games. If you have a PlayStation 4, those are musts. Oh my God. Amazing games. Again, Days Gone, another one of those new IPs that just blew me out of the water. That's like a 50-plus hour game for $20. And then there's a part where you think the game is starting to wind down, and then it's just going to be left open for a sequel. Then, boom, a whole other section of the game opens up, like 10 to 15 more hours. Awesome, man. Then we have some $30 games here. Death Stranding, $30. Man, that was one of the most talked about games for a long time. Half price. Great. Go pick it up.
So my question is, can you actually buy a PS4 Pro, though?
I have not been able to find any PS4 Pro deals on the actual hardware, because I really wanted to look up if they had any PlayStation VR deals, because it looks like they're starting to ramp up VR, as weird as that sounds. Their Iron Man game, it is PSVR exclusive, and that game has gone gold. So it's sold over 100,000 copies already, or pre-ordered. And that's pretty ridiculous because I didn't even think they had sold like more than 1 million PlayStation VR headsets. And of those million sold, how many of them were bought just to try it out?
Speaking of more than, real quick.
Yes.
We have in the chat, Midwest Meltdown is saying Sony exclusives, more than Xbox exclusives.
Yes.
Oh.
I wholeheartedly agree.
You know where it's really at, though? Nintendo exclusives. Oh, snap.
It is, they do have some pretty good exclusives, man.
Now, this is coming from a Nintendo Xbox PC gamer that doesn't have a Sony, so. Nerd. Hey! You want to...
But no, so, mean, basically, there's all these games that are dirt cheap right now. Pick them up. I mean, I cannot explain how good some of these games are and for how cheap they are. I mean, that is a freaking steal. Oh, also, all of these websites have PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus 12-month digital codes. Each one of those are $42. They're normally $60 each. So for less than $100, you can get PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus for a whole year, and that's free games, at least 2 free games a month. And then PS Now is kind of like their version of Game Pass, and they have a lot of the same games as Game Pass, but obviously they're going to have a lot of the exclusives.
Yeah, I know in the future you're doing a side quest just on Xbox Game Pass versus PS Now. Is that still in the works?
It's still in the works just because I'm trying to see exactly how many games both of them have, like that they both have, like at the same time.
This involves spreadsheets, it sounds like.
It's going to. I thought it would be as easy as just looking it up on the internet, but nobody has done this. And then
you heard it here, world exclusive. No.
And the more that I look at this, the more I see that a lot of these games I've gotten for free on like Twitch or the Epic Game Store, or I've gotten them dirt cheap from Humble Bundles. So now I'm diving even deeper into this rabbit hole because I'm going to include a lot of the PC stuff where you could get free games or dirt cheap games. So give me about a month or two.
Yeah,
I need a little more time with PS Now. It has a lot more older games than Game Pass does.
Do you want to tell us about this next thing? Because I think you know a little bit more than I do. Because I just saw this new gaming system that's really an old gaming system that fits in your hand. And
so, yeah, this is... I don't know if many people know this, but we're coming up on Sega's 60th anniversary. That is huge.
I didn't even realize they were that old.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Nintendo's over 100 years old.
I do know that because I'm a huge Nintendo nerd.
But
Hanafuda cards.
So, for the 60th anniversary, they are releasing palm-sized Game Gear Micros. So this is a set of, I'll go ahead and read from an article an IGN put out. These are a set of palm-sized Game Gear Micro consoles have been revealed as part of Sega's 60th anniversary celebrations. Game Gear Micro is currently only available to pre-order in Japan and will launch on October 6th at the time of this writing, which is, what's today? June the 3rd. Okay, so as of June the 3rd, this is up to date. Let's see.
Now, there was a rumor going around, and I'm wondering if this is where streams kind of crossed, that Microsoft was going to release the Xbox Series X as the Sega Series X. I'm wondering if...
What are you talking about?
I'm serious. That was a rumor that happened since our last episode.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
In Japan, though. Because you know how well the Microsoft Xboxes sell in Japan? They don't.
Yeah, But Sega and Nintendo are like best buds.
I know.
So
they're bros now, but that's been a weird rumor that I think might be related to this. So if you've heard that lately, I'm wondering if this surprise announcement for the tiniest of Game Gears is the reason why we're hearing that. And I got to be honest, man, I am not for this console. I have big sausage fingers of Doom, and I'm pretty sure I would break it. So it doesn't look like it's for me because it says that I see here in the notes that it has a 1-inch screen.
1-inch screen, dude. That's
like a flip phone.
Small.
Does it hook up to HDMI or anything?
So it looks like here the only thing I see on it is it'll have a headphone jack and it charges via USB and uses 2 AAA batteries for power. That doesn't make sense. Sega is currently offering the promotion where if you buy all 4 variants of the Game Gear Micro, you will receive a special big window accessory that magnifies the screen while you play. This console will retail in Japan for 4,980 yen, which roughly equates to 40 British sterling pounds or $50 US.
Wait a second. Hold up. Hold up.
What?
Rowdy. It has a screen that magnifies it? What is this, the 90s and we have Game Boys again?
Dude, this isn't even my final form.
Sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
For real, dude. You should type in Game Boy, this isn't even my final form. And it's basically just this Game Boy with a ridiculous amount of add-ons to it. And it looks like the Megazord from Power Rangers.
Yeah, I could see that.
We've got 4 different versions of this are coming out. It's 4 different colors. So the black one will have Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone. So for $50 US, you get one of these and 4 games. It'd be $200 to get all these.
So what games come in these?
Oh no! So the black one, Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyo 2, Outrun, and Royal Stone.
Those are legit games.
Well, it's funny because they have legit games in each one of them, but you have to buy them all to get the greatest games.
Now, what level of hell do you have to be in, though, to play Sonic the Hedgehog on a 1-inch screen?
It's even more of a hell to play on the blue one, which has Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tail, Baku Baku Animal. Dude, Gunstar Heroes, there's no way I could play that on a 1-inch screen.
I'm just thinking of Puyo Puyo. How many of those little blobby things with the little eyes and they cry a little bit when you explodify them? You know? Like, could you imagine? That's terrifying. I could see why they have a magnifying glass that comes with these, because you won't be able to see it.
Pretty much.
What else we got, Rowdy?
So let's see here. Sorry, I was typing in the chat for a second. So the yellow one, it's going to come with Shining Force 1, Shining Force 2, Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict, and Nazo Puyo Are no Ru. So I'm guessing those the Shining Force series are some RPGs that I've seen on Sega Genesis. I don't know how the Game Gear versions are going to play. We'll have to see. And then the red version comes with Revelations, the Demon Slayer, Megami Tensei Gaiden, Last Bible Special, the GG Shinobi, and Columns. So if I were to actually buy any of these, I would probably buy the black and blue one just to get the Sonic games and then Gunstar Heroes. But I think every single one of the games that I want to play is on the Sega collection for Switch that I have.
All right. I just saw it in passing and I saw somebody holding it. But then I see there's a picture online where it shows somebody like holding it and it looks much larger. I think it's just bad angles or good angles or whatever you want to say. So guess what, Rowdy?
What's that?
We have a rumor.
What's that rumor?
Doom Eternal is going to be releasing on June 17th, according to a potential leak, on the Switch. So, yeah, you can get it in all the fuzzy glory that Doom OG was. Now, I will have to say, it's going to probably have gyro controls. Yeah,
nerd.
love me some gyro controls. If you've listened to this podcast, you know that there's nothing I love better than gyro controls. Now, before I get to that rumor, I will say something I forgot to put in the notes. Outer Worlds is coming to the Switch, and apparently they say that version of Outer Worlds looks fantastic and it's very surprising on the Switch. Apparently they're using some form of anti-aliasing that is making it hit way above its weight class, essentially. Kind of how, there's no reason why the Nintendo Switch, which is a glorified toaster, should run OG Doom or Wolfenstein, but it does. So apparently...
Doom 2016, not OG Doom.
I'm sorry, whatever. OG Doom number 2 in 2016. How about that? But there's no reason it should run that game. That thing should catch on fire and burn your toast. So, they say the Outer Worlds that's coming out for the Switch actually looks fantastic, and it uses some anti-aliasing techniques that they're not even doing on the Xbox, which makes me think that you might see an update coming for Outer Worlds to kind of spiff it up a little bit. Anyway, back to the rumor, because this is definitely in the probably fake news area. This is from games.co.uk. A new listing has appeared on the Game Collection's eBay account. Account. We're taking rumors from eBay accounts now, which lists the game as releasing June 27th. Oh, that's completely different than the 17th that I wrote. I don't believe either. This does hold some weight, they say, as the Game Collection is a legitimate game retailer and not just a random account. Sure. One thing to note, though, is that the release date doesn't show on the regular website's listing and instead just says TBC 2020. So it's either somebody on the eBay team jumped the gun, or maybe it's legit. We will find out.
I won't believe it. I won't believe it unless Walmart Canada leaks it.
Walmart Canada. I'm still saying Amazon France, man. They release stuff. Yeah. All right. I think that is it for the news, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
All right, guys. We are going to take a break real quick, and we will be back with gaming impressions with the games that we've played lately.
Before we get started with the games we've been playing lately, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at parallaxmedia.one. They are a good old school gaming journalism website that has decided to spread our podcast around to the masses, so drop by and check these guys out. I said Paramax Media. It's Parallax Media.
Parallax.one. So, Rowdy, what have you been playing lately, good sir?
All right, so first I'm going to start off with Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm still playing this game. It's long. It's really long. I wanted to try and beat it, but it's long.
How long is this game? Because I have been playing Assassin's Creed... I've lost my mind. Odyssey, yes. It started with an O. And I'm like 60 or so hours in it.
So I'm probably 35, 40 hours into Origins right now. And I was just going to skip a bunch of the side quests and just power on through the story. But I made it to a part in the story where things are starting to get a little bit harder. So I need to go do the side missions and level up. Ugh. So I put that down for a second and started playing Maneater.
Oh, shark game. Shark go chomp.
Maneater is Grand Theft Auto, but you're a shark. I mean, think about that for a second. That's amazing. It would be awesome, like, if you could actually, like, steal a car.
I was about to say, is this
shark.
like Bikini Bottoms and you go steal a car as a shark?
Dude, that would be legit. But
the new SpongeBob game got real.
Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is legit.
Yeah.
But no, so you start off the game as a shark, and they teach you the main basics for the game: how to attack, how to jump, how to swim, all of that good stuff. And then a shark hunter catches you, strings you up, cuts you open, pulls out a baby shark, which you then take control of. The shark hunter marks the shark by slicing it with a knife so that he'll know that he has cut this shark whenever it becomes an adult. So as a baby shark, you proceed to bite this guy's arm off and jump in the water. So then, turns out, this game is just a reality show following this shark hunter who now has a hook arm. But
did you just ruin the game for everybody?
No, not at all.
Okay, I didn't know. I haven't played it.
Everything that I just talked about happens in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Okay.
So they say it's actually a short game. I've put maybe 5 hours into it, and I'm probably halfway through it. There's a lot of collectibles in it. You eat lots of stuff. You get to eat people. You get to attack boats.
Hey, that sounds like a regular weekend for me.
Dude, my shark, I've upgraded his oxygen levels so he could jump onto the golf course and like hobble around it and eat people and stay out of the water longer. It's awesome. But it's actually not a full price game either. It's $40. Now, on the newscast that we had last week, I talked about how some people are running into some bugs with this game. And it's funny because I could not confirm that these happened on launch Xbox Ones or PS4s, but these bugs are actually happening on PS4 Pros and Xbox One X's. So
I feel like we should rename bugs though for this shark game to like minnows or water bugs.
Yeah. Because those dang water bugs in Animal Crossing, they made me so mad.
Mm-hmm.
On the
that
PS4,
was a lovely segue, by the way.
On the Skylar says call it jellyfish.
Jellyfish, nice.
But on the PS4, dude, it sounds like a jet engine taking off. Like it is running like Final Fantasy VII did. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like that did on my PS4. And this game should not make the PS4 work that hard. It's not that like brilliant of looking of a game. Now for the Xbox One X, it has been completely turning the console off, like hard turn off, like you just removed the cable from or the cord from the back of it. And then when you turn it back on, it talks about how the power's turned off. Hey, don't do that. So that's really
thanks for letting me know that, because I ain't playing this game now.
I hope that would have been patched by now. But if this game goes on sale, it's totally a must for everybody to pick up. And the whole game is narrated by Chris Parnell. Which is awesome. So enough about that. It looks like all the other games on my list are the games on your list as well.
Such as the first one, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So I happen to have the Definitive Edition with all the special fancy art books and whatnot. So I am super excited, and surprisingly, I have some complaints, but I really like the game. So I'm going to first talk about the story and gameplay and what they've improved. Rowdy, if there is something you want to mention specifically, feel free to, warp time and use the Maneater to knock me out so you can talk for a little bit, because I will not shut up some days. Will do. All right, so the storyline is, of course, well done, and certain scenes still have that emotional punch I remember. If you've never played Xenoblade Chronicles, or you've only played maybe Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles X, you may have not experienced the first game. Just a little history, there was something called Operation Rainfall, that a group of people that got together and convinced Nintendo to release this game into America. When I was just getting out of college, I wanted to play this game because I actually started playing games again. Because I'm sorry, whenever you're in college or you're working way too much, you just don't play games. I mean, we've all kind of experienced that at different points in our life. But I went on eBay and got the game for like 80 something dollars. So I have bought this game before. Now, this game to me has the best story out of the 3 Xenoblade Chronicles games there. Within the first 8 hours, you're going to see basically a large scale attack to where the robots and mechanists are getting pushed back by a struggling protagonist using the Maneater, which is a special sword that can do all sorts of fancy things like alter time and be red and cut things and lasers and whatnot. That's the technical explanation for y'all. Yeah, and then eventually it goes to peaceful time, and then the big robots come back. They get angry. They kill a very important character to the story, which is surprising. And it tugs at them our heartstrings. This game. Now, there are. As far as the gameplay goes, it is improved. Now, this game kind of plays... I guess the closest thing I would say is it reminds me of an action RPG, but with the cooldowns of an MMO. So your character auto-attacks, and then you switch through more fancy special moves. Now, some things that have improved. A lot of these moves are very... specific to where you're standing and attacking. So you might like have a backslash or a side attack. And now it puts up a happy little exclamation mark to let you know if you're standing in the right position to do the attack better.
That wasn't in the original one?
No, sir, it was not. Those of us back in the day had to actually play Xenoblade Chronicles without all your fancy doodads and whatnots and who's this with the exclamation marks that actually help you.
Yeah, well, sucks to be you, because I watch those exclamation marks like clockwork, man.
Oh, man, it's great. Now, if you've never played the game, also, there are at least 4,000 tutorials, or maybe it's like 30, but there are a lot of systems at play in battle and even whenever you're having quests. So, you're actually also building affinity, which means like how cool you are with other people and if they like you and whatnot. But it's not just your teammates. It's like every freaking person in the city, every person that at least has a green dot on the map. And it's literally, I think, 100-something people that you find throughout the game.
Everybody has a quest for you.
Yes, and they have multiple quests at a time. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I didn't notice that at first. And one thing that really makes me mad about some of these quests is a lot of them, you automatically get the XP or the money from the quest. There are a few quests that I did and didn't realize that you actually had to return to the person to get said money and XP. And I didn't notice that until I'd already made it to like Gar Plain. So then I had to teleport back and do all that junk.
And you'll notice they're only appearing at certain times of the day too.
Well, yeah. Some of them are like some of the monster quests where you have to kill a certain specific monster.
No, I mean the people. They actually have schedules where they walk around the town, and the time is very important if you didn't know yet. You will not be able to find some people at different times of the day. If you go to their info page, essentially, you look them up in the phone book, essentially, it'll tell you what their schedule is.
Yeah, and it's not very realistic because the old lady that I was trying to do a quest for didn't come out of her house till 11.
Dude.
She should have been out at like 5 in the morning to get that early bird special at Sizzler's.
I gotta go get my pancakes today. It's 4 o'clock. It's time for the special.
And she drives 30 miles under the speed limit to get there.
Absolutely.
In a 35 speed limit zone.
I have to do that because they love giving me tickets. All right, so next up, graphics. To me, the graphics looks great. You can also tell that the character models are using techniques that are relatively new, but you are going to see parts of the background that remind you of the good old Wii days. Definitely. Also, the facial models on the characters in the still shots don't do them justice. They're animated very well, have a good range of emotion. Just don't expect the words to sync up with the mouth in any sort of fashion. It kind of looks like somebody mimicking duck quacks. Quack, quack.
Well, it was probably put to the original Japanese dialogue.
I'm sure it was, but even then, the mouth movements are flatter, and they don't like twist in to make O's and things like that.
They're wonky.
They're wonky. It hurts me. Also, explosion and effects look great, but I do wish they had the punch of HDR. Now that I have a TV that has HDR and fancy games with them, you can definitely tell that things are not as bright and as cool looking as they could be. There is a complaint, though, that I've noticed. In Gar Plains, have you noticed the grass kind of forms a circle around you like it's a force field?
Dude, I can't even describe how much the grass in Gar Plain angers me sometimes, especially during the day.
It's so bad. That is the only thing so far that I'm like, I can't unsee this. I can't like stop looking at it because it's just appearing in front of me.
I can't tell you how many times I've thought that some of the bushes were enemies when they pop in.
Yeah, and I will say, they make those enemies pop in from a long ways away, especially Territorial Rotbart. Stay away from Territorial Rotbart. Have you met at Territorial Rotbart, Rowdy?
I don't think so.
He will throw a rock at you and murder you in one hit.
I mean, that sounds like he would.
He's level 87, and he is quite territorial.
Hence
now,
the name.
Yes, and I have noticed that people that take pictures of this game are essentially taking like very low shots of the game while they're in Gar Plains, so you don't see that magical force field of grass. It kind of reminds me of taking like a duck face selfie, you know? Like you got to get the right angle up above you, and you got to make the face. It's pretty much how I see images of Gar play right now. So yeah. So, what do you think about the graphics so far?
The graphics, they're about what I expected. I wasn't expecting, 120 frames a second, 8K type stuff. I knew what I was getting into. Why not,
Rowdy?
Because, I mean, I've played Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, I mean, I know what to expect from the series. Plus the fact that this game is, 10 years old now? At least?
Maybe.
So I knew what to expect going into it. My main gripe with the Definitive Edition is music. And not that the music's bad.
Okay.
But one of the main things I liked about the last, Dragon Quest that they put on Switch was that they had the synthesized version of the music as well as the live orchestration version of the music. And I would switch back and forth between both of them just to hear the differences, and it was awesome the way that it sounded. So on this one, you know what? Nerd alert.
Uh-oh, nerd alert. Sound off the sirens, Rowdy.
So on this one, they said that they were re-recording a lot of the music with a live orchestra. So a lot of times when people record music for these video games, what they do is they use what's called VSTs, which are basically virtual instruments. So you load up a VST into your recording program of choice, then you plug in a MIDI keyboard, and whatever instrument you pick, you could play on a keyboard. It's kind of what I do for literally all the music I make for this this podcast. The Lamer Gamers theme song, the intro song, sounds like it's got live drums, live guitar, bass, all that stuff in there. Every single bit of that was played on a keyboard.
It's all fake, guys. Rowdy has been exposed.
It's all production magic. So when you listen to the original version of the Xenoblade songs, it's VST instruments. Now, when you listen to the new orchestrated versions of it, it doesn't sound that different, even to me. And I can tell the difference sometimes between VSTs and live instrumentation. And the original soundtrack recorded with fake instruments sounds just as good as the live recorded version. It doesn't have the kick that Xenoblade Chronicles X or Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did. Now the songs, they're just beautifully made to begin with.
Absolutely.
Just the chord progressions and everything. When they do the big key changes during really dynamic scenes, the scenes that are supposed to tug at your heartstrings, when they do those key changes and it makes it real epic sound, that is beautifully done. But like I said, there is not much of a difference between the orchestrated version and the original version, and that kind of bugs me. I got really excited thinking I was going to hear a huge difference, and I haven't yet.
You know what grinds my Xenogears?
What's that?
By the way, they used to have games called Xenogears. It was made by the same people. Or, well,
Yep.
they left and made this. So this really isn't just a Family Guy joke. But I absolutely cannot stand playing this game in surround sound. And this hurts my heart.
Well,
The
I mean,
footsteps,
it is a Switch game.
The footsteps behind you. Have you played it? You haven't played it in surround sound yet, have you?
Oh no, I don't play any Switch games with any type of
Oh my gosh,
surround or anything like that.
So you always have two people walking behind you, and it's just like super duper loud. It's louder than the majority of what's going on, because it's Nintendo does the uncompressed LPCM stuff where it's not like trying to mimic any sort of spatial I guess actualization. Okay, I'm using big words, deal with it. But it's bad. It's too loud. They need to tone down, because you could be trying to sneak up on a demon bunny with a baseball bat in its hand, because that's actually a bad guy in the game.
Yeah.
And these people are just like everywhere. I'm sorry, I scared my wife in the process. But it's so freaking loud. I'm surprised my dogs didn't bark with that. Anyway, other than that, though, I really don't have much to complain about. The sound, well, okay, and the people that will not shut up. Because at first I was cool with it.
What a bunch of jokers.
Every single time. Oh, gosh, did you see what I did? Oh, no, really?
No, I wasn't looking.
Like, I knew, like, my wife has issues with that game specifically for that reason, and she can't stand watching it because of the audio on the game and them just constantly saying the same phrases over and over. It was fine up until I had 3 people in my party.
And
then it was
April
down
says
here.
April says it's not as bad as the Yaz from Xenoblade X or the Here Fishy Fishies from Xenoblade 2.
That is true. And that's the thing about some good games. You just got to put up with the bad. It's the contrast in life that makes things beautiful and great, but it sucks. That's what I think about that. Although I'm going to be playing more Xenoblade in the future, I'll probably be playing with headphones on or in stereo. And
Great
maybe
game.
getting rid of their voices while it's battle mode. I think you can do that in the settings, Rowdy. Pro
Dude,
tip.
good. Did you notice there's actually a casual mode as well?
Yeah, but I'm not a filthy casual.
Yeah, no, I am.
So what is casual mode?
It just makes the battles easier.
They're hard?
Well, I mean, kinda.
You filthy casual.
Suck it.
Anyway, so I'm so used to that system. I could see it being tough. All right, that's really all I got to say about Xenoblade. If you have not gotten it, go out and play it. It is great if you're looking for something to play on the Switch, while you're waiting for Clubhouse games to come out.
Oh, God. I've actually never spent less than 100 hours in a Xenoblade game.
That is true. Xenoblade, I think I spent 107 whenever I beat that game. And then I probably played it for another 30 hours. So, all right. So next up, Minecraft Dungeons. So Minecraft Dungeons is this game that I hate this game, but I love this game at times. The thing that is bothering me about it is the loot system. I like the concept of like the loot driving everything you do, but it's almost a little too random for me. I kind of miss having classes like you do in Diablo. Like, I kind of want to make just a wizard character or a warrior or a witch or whatever they have in there, because there are some like essential presets in a sense. But if you find a unique weapon, you might as well just throw everything that you had out the window. And so I'm wondering I'm wondering, are you supposed to be playing certain levels over and over trying to get the gear that you want to kind of make like a super set? Or do you just play and just kind of go with the flow in this game? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
I've just kind of gone with the flow, but I mean, of course, I've only done I haven't done that much of the game. Maybe the first 3 levels, and within those first 3 levels, I have gotten armor that helps my magic, armor that helps my melee weapons, or armor that helps my ranged weapons. So we're talking barbarian, rogue, and wizard in 3 different levels. I've gotten basically armor that would help if they were that kind of class. And it's weird the way that it's set up. I understand why people now say that it's baby's first dungeon crawler, because it is a ripoff of Diablo, and it is super easy. But, I mean, I guess I understand the frustration of wanting to play as a certain type of character, but you just keep getting random loot, in air quotes, that doesn't have to do with the way that you want to play.
Yeah, I've finally started like making some builds. I created a character the last time I was playing that used the like sacrificial knife. It looks jaggedy, but it also creates a vortex that brings enemies into you. But then it also does like a tornado damage around you and burns people. So it's like, oh, this could be awesome for mobs. Then the creepers showed up that level. And they straight up murdered me. Like there was no chance, because it pulled them in from like, I guess 5 Minecraft characters away. And so if I didn't like pop them with an arrow real quick, it did not end well. So I've had some fun making some builds. I found really cool armor and weapons. The tip for finding unique weapons and armor, if you look on the map, you'll notice that sometimes it shows a little piece of the map is continued beyond where you're normally walking. So you actually have to do a roll, and you kind of glide over gaps in the map to other places sometimes. If you do fall off the level, you will not die unless you have very low health, and it'll bring you back. So if you don't know that, that's a good way to get some unique armor. Sometimes that treasure chest just magically appears, and you also kind of want to wander everywhere. Now, Skylar, who is one of the people that I have played Diablo with beyond Greater Rift 100, her thoughts are, she says the biggest problem she has is the loot system. It's really hard to get and keep a build, and that's exactly right. It was her baby's first dungeon crawler. Actually, we played with her son online. It would be me and Skylar and Ryan, and it was really funny because Harper would like go off and do his own thing. He'd be like killing guys, and he'd be like dead somewhere, so we'd have to go up and bring him back to life. It was actually pretty fun. So if you have kids, this is the game to get your kids into if you're looking to want to play an ARPG with your kids.
Dude, I saw some of that on the Twitch stream. I was laughing my ass off, man. It was funny.
And she said her son thought he was hot stuff after getting to play with us. So yeah, it was really fun. So it's a game you can play with your kids. You get 3 lives each run, so that's fairly forgiving. And if you have somebody playing with you, you can bring them back to life and it doesn't take it away. It's basically 3 team wipes if you're playing with the full team. Now, graphics. I am playing on the One X, and the One X runs at 60 frames per second. Are you on you're playing the S, aren't you?
Yeah, I only have a 1S.
Yeah, okay. So that's playing at 30 frames per second. And there have been some complaints that the 30 frames per second makes it a little bit tougher because of the reaction time whenever you have a whole bunch of mobs on the screen.
The human eye can only see 24 frames per second, Travis.
That's a lie. That is an absolute lie. All right, but I will have to say Okay, so Skylar plays on the One X and the One S, and they play next to each other, and they haven't really noticed any issues. It's probably people that are just going to say, "Oh, yes." The only thing that doesn't show is the area of effect damage, it seems, or whenever you have like fire around you. That's an interesting thing to show. Uh, and her son plays on the worst Xbox. Yeah, that's the way you do it. You give your kid the lowest model. But
No, man, the initial one and the 1S are pretty much the same.
oh, the ones, yeah, they're close. The S is a bit better though. It can do HDR.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now the game does look great. I haven't really seen it do any slowdown. I have ran into bugs though. We ran into a door that would not unlock, and it wasn't because there was some stupid anthropomorphized key that kept making noises and jumping off of our back when we got hit. It literally was because the door got stuck and we had to start our game over. Also, I've had it freeze my system, and we have talked about some bugs that the game had in our previous episode. So I know they've updated it a couple times already, so I'm still liking it though. Like, I'm definitely going to be playing it up into the DLC, and I might get the DLC. It's supposed to cost money, but they are going to incorporate new characters and weapons and armor and things. So, and real quick, if you don't know anything about the game, the way that it's set up with the items is there is a weapon, there's armor, and there's a bow and arrow. So you always have the ability to fight melee or fight long range. Then you have what are called 3 artifacts, which are essentially magic weapons that can do a variety of things. Anything from sounding off a horn that pushes away monsters, changing your arrows to fire or ice arrows that push things away, even to bringing forth a mystical llama to spit upon the enemies and mobs that come after you. So,
Look at my mystical llama.
look at my mystical llama and my wolf. They will attack you. You can do nothing. So, there's some really fun stuff in there. Now, I think that's really all I have for Minecraft Dungeons. Did you have anything else you want to go over before we get to bonus points?
No, I haven't really played too much of Minecraft Dungeons. I need to barrel through it like everybody else.
Barrel roll through it. Or roll.
Oh.
Do a barrel roll. Okay, we
I
can't
wasn't
do
going
that.
to go there.
Yeah, no, Skylar heard my PC say your password will expire soon. Yeah, I need to block that. Okay, on to bonus points. All right, guys, before we get started gathering some bonus points, hey, we've been streaming lately. Check it out over at twitch.tv/LamerGamersPodcast and see the recordings over at the Lamer Gamers Podcast YouTube. We tend to put them over there when we're done and make clips because people seem to like those things. In fact, we are recording our podcast episodes on the Twitch, and we announce it on Twitter. So if you follow our Twitter at LamerGamersCast, you'll be able to find out when you can join in the show and hang out on the chat, which we show live. So don't do anything too crazy. Like, seriously, dudes, I need to keep my job. All right. Now, bonus points is a new section where we are just going to add topics to discuss towards the end of the show. So our 2 topics today. Well, we're just going to start with the one topic, and I'm going to ask Rowdy, Cyberpunk 2077 was announced 8 years ago as of May 30th. That is a long time to announce a game, build hype for it, bring in the Keanu Reeves. Not just Keanu Reeves, the Keanu Reeves. They have so much hype that is built upon this game. What if it sucks?
It's not going to suck.
Okay.
Okay, so No. So Cyberpunk 2077. So 8 years. 8 years ago it was released or announced. So they've released footage here and there and like little updates, but nothing ever big was leaked about this game. Like that's pretty impressive for them to have gone that long and nothing big leaked. And then just all at once, we got all this information about the game. How it's going to play, who's going to be in it, things like that. All of a sudden, Keanu Reeves shows up. The ridiculous amount of character customization you'll be able to do, how big it is.
It's
CD
really
Projekt
quite
Red,
breathtaking how much they hid.
Oh, you're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
And CD Projekt Red is, I mean, they've done amazing things with the Witcher series.
Yes.
The Witcher 3 is a ridiculously huge game with so much lore behind it. Now, I understand that it was Andrzej Sapkowski who wrote the whole Witcher series and everything, but he didn't write everything that went into the Witcher 3 game. So it's pretty impressive what CD Projekt Red did with it. So I don't know if you know this, but Cyberpunk 2077 is actually a board game. Well, the Cyberpunk series is actually a board game.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Shadowrun games, or it's like a D&D that's put in the Cyberpunk universe.
But it's an actual board game.
Yes.
So I want to say the board game was actually called Cyberpunk 2021 or 22 or something like that. And then it was also that board game is also based off of I don't know, I guess like a Cyberpunk version of D&D pretty much.
Yep.
So CD Projekt Red has just taken it and run with it. Also, I don't know if you know this, CD Projekt Red is one of the most profitable video game companies in Europe, almost beating out Ubisoft. And think about how many games CD Projekt Red has released compared to Ubisoft.
A lot. No, not at all.
Yeah. Dude, CD Projekt Red, within just the last 15 years maybe, has released the Witcher games.
And that's about it.
Man.
Yeah.
And they are almost as profitable as Ubisoft. Well, Ubisoft has had some flops.
Yeah,
but
Ubisoft
still
has had some massive flops, and they tend to work like 10 companies at a time. So when they flop hard.
But I guess I kind of got away from the question. What if it sucks? If Cyberpunk sucks, that's going to suck.
I agree. And it could be detrimental to their company if it were to flop, like some of the Ubisoft games.
Ugh.
So I think it would suck if it sucked. Hey, speaking of things that suck, I played the Google Stadia recently. And guess what?
Yeah. What did you think about it?
It sucked. Yeah. Anyway, so recently I am a T-Mobile customer. I've been for quite a long time. And they have this thing called T-Mobile Tuesdays. Well, I decided to check it because most of the time it's not anything worth getting, really. Or they really, really like to try to give you free Impossible Whoppers. That's the thing lately. I don't know why. They don't want you to eat cows, though. They'll give you a free pizza with Pizza Hut, but don't eat cows from the Burger King.
I mean,
it's impossible.
Free food.
I mean, yeah, free food. So, anyway, they gave 3 months of Google Stadia Pro. I tried to give Mr. 5000 my extra code because we have two phones under there. And what was your reply?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's been most people's reply to anything Stadia related. So,
but let me go ahead and explain though. So, in the area we live in, the average high-speed internet speed is 100 megabits per second. Now you can get upwards of 400 megabits a second, but that's still not super fast. I've heard people who have gigabit internet talking about how Stadia works very well for them. On the other hand, I've seen people with gigabit internet that probably ran worse than when Travis ran it. And all of the, I guess, platforms, I'm going to call them, all of the platforms that I could actually play Stadia on at my house don't have wired connections to the internet, and I don't have the adapters to make them wired connections. So I probably would have taken it if I could have downloaded it to like my Apple TV or run it through one of my gaming systems. Well, one of the gaming systems wouldn't have had it on there because it's competing. But yeah, so my Mac and my PC both are wireless only. And there's just no way I could have played them with a wireless connection.
So that's pretty much what I based my playthrough on, is how am I actually going to play this? How does it fit into my life? How would I want to play it, right? Because all my other systems right now are wireless. Now, I know that that's like, oh, there's some pro gamer out there. Oh, you don't have a wired connection. How are you even playing video games, you console peasant?
All of my consoles are wired.
Yeah, look, guys, we are not pro gamers. We are lamers. Deal with it. Now,
we're pro lamers.
Pro lamers, yes. But here is the connection at my house. Okay, I tested everything. I tested it while it was running, too. My connection tends to be over 100 megabits per second. While I was on Stadia, the connection only used about 25 megabits per second of my bandwidth. I had nothing else running at the house, mind you. There's nobody watching TV. There's nobody playing video games in the room. I am on a Nighthawk modem that is a 5 gigahertz setup. So it's fast, you know. It's actually sometimes better than some of the wired stuff I've dealt with out here. But it only used 25 megabits per second. And so I also had 5 megabits per second left over of upload speed. I will release a video that comes up right after this podcast on Tuesday. We released the podcast on Monday, and I'll put the video of my gameplay on Tuesday so you can see me playing it and what I went through, kind of breaking it down as I'm going. Now, I'm playing on a 1440p screen, and my internet speed had 15 milliseconds of lag. That's actually really good, right? Because whenever you're playing games, like anything that low means it's pretty instantaneous. Okay. Now, I love that I put look up the other term or completely forget and have to figure out it during the show. That's basically what I just did. Now, nice. I am running on a Surface Pro 7 tablet with all that stuff, and I'm maybe 10 feet away from the router with nothing that is going to break the connection, right? I had issues with it. With my setup, it would not let me run it on the browser of my choice. I tend to use what's called the Brave browser because they have a lot of things that block trackers, right? And various ads and things. Well, it's a Chromium browser, which means it's basically Chrome with other stuff added in, okay? But it still wouldn't run. I was stuck at just a black screen after the game said it was trying to load. So
because Google's trying to track you.
Yeah, well, I loaded Chrome, and it's like, oh, I'm going to run now. I played Power Rangers, guys, for my first game. Because my thought was, here's my thought. I was going to play a fighting game to see if there was going to be a response issue. Okay? Before I even got into it, I was disappointed. Before I started even picking characters, I was disappointed in the quality because it looked like a YouTube video that was whenever you had a screen transition and everything loaded in really slowly and there were artifacts on the screen or like little boxes. In the menu screen, it should look clean, right? It shouldn't look like I'm watching a video of somebody on YouTube streaming it. That was the first problem. Okay, just switching things. When there's no actual like gameplay going on and it looks bad, whenever my connection has 3 times the bandwidth left to deal with it and low lag, no, that's ridiculous. Anyway, So I will say, though, there weren't really any issues with losing button presses in Power Rangers, but I gotta say that game is garbage, and all the moves kind of look like you're flailing around with a spider on your back trying to reach it with your sword. So I don't know if that was necessarily reliable that I was losing things or not, because that game sucks and it's a dumpster fire.
You know what you can do?
What?
You could download that same game on Xbox Game Pass and compare it.
I did, and I will. So the first thing. Thank you, Rowdy, for the setup. The first
I did
thing,
not read the notes.
It's probably not in the notes. The first thing that I noticed was, man, this game looks rough. The characters, so the Green Ranger, mind you.
The best Ranger.
Shut up. The Yellow Ranger was the best. I think I just had a crush on her as a kid. I think that was the problem. Anyway, so we're going to have a fight over the Power Rangers today, guys. Anyway, so I noticed the actual clothing on the characters and things like that looked really low quality. And I noticed there was some really bad anti-aliasing, or really bad aliasing in the background, right? Aliasing, whatever you want to call it. I have ways I pronounce things weird. But
Travis says everything wrong.
Economy. Anyway, so it looked really bad. But the worst thing, the sin that Google Stadia brought forth into the world was they didn't put shadows. There were no shadows on the Power Rangers on the ground. And I thought, okay. Well, this is a junk game, right? There's no way they have shadows on the Xbox version. There are freaking shadows on the Xbox version. The Xbox One X version looks so much better. It's ridiculous. Now, granted, there's still like low polygonal assets in the background and things like that, but it doesn't look like the dumpster fire of what I played. Now, the game sucks still. Don't get me wrong.
No, dude, it's actually a pretty decent game.
Rowdy, shut up. It sucks. No. You might like it. I didn't play it long enough to care, I guess. But it was really weird to see decisions like that were made. Now, whenever they sold the Stadia to everybody. Now, the biggest problem I have with the Stadia, and I've said it before I even played it, they overpromised and underdelivered. They made it sound like this new little system or interface was the Messiah coming to save us from the trials and tribulations of other gaming consoles, and we would never be held down with wires and power connections and HDMI cables and controllers. That was a lie. So, that was the thing. I've been promised so much from this system that is supposed to be running better than my consoles, only to have it, one, look like a bad YouTube clip, and two, lose graphical features in games that are not hard to run. That game has nothing in it that should be required to be lessened anywhere. Okay? The fact that they omitted various graphical effects on what they consider to be supercomputers is a problem. Now, let's go to the next game. Grid. Grid actually looked good. Grid is a racing game. However, it had issues. First of all,
is Grid the one where you could like race on like the ceiling and stuff, and you have like weapons and stuff that you could shoot at other cars?
Not that I remember.
Never mind. That is Grip.
Okay, yeah. Grid is just is an arcade racer for the most part. It looked good, but it looked incredibly soft. It looked like I was playing it on the Switch almost, like that kind of softness you see on Switch games that are, Doom 2016, not OG. I got it right this time. Wolfenstein, things like that.
You look soft.
You look soft. Anyway, so it looked good. Every now and then it had some pretty moments even, but the game was soft and it still had that grainy, bad YouTube quality. So it was a little bit off to me, and I'm seeing in the chat Stark Realm is saying Stadia is gaming for people still using CRTs TVs in 2020. I can believe that. It's really not made for 4K TVs, and I'm not even using a 4K screen. Now, here are some problems that I really had with it, though. I didn't notice any noticeable loss in controls until I played Grid. I started pressing right or left quickly on the controller, right? And you would expect your car to move a little bit.
I mean, it's a racing game. That's what you do.
That's what you do. I literally could constantly push left or right, back and forth, and it would not register it if I moved it too fast. To the extent to where I held it up on the camera, and you'll see in that footage, I kept holding it up in front of the camera, pressing the button, moving the stick, and I ran into a wall. That's a problem. Whenever you can move your hands quicker than the input, that's a problem, yeah. I love Rowdy's face he's making right now. So that tells me I was probably losing button pushes and movements in the Power Ranger game that I wasn't noticing. And I started really hitting kind of a figurative and literal wall in my Stadia experience when I started noticing these things compounding as I was playing these games. I'm still going to spend a little bit more time with the system and try it in other factors, other locations, maybe on the go. As far as how it compares to xCloud, it's not completely different from what I've experienced with xCloud, to be honest. I think they both run about the same. I do have to say I played xCloud on a phone versus a big screen, so I probably notice things much easier on the Stadia than I would on the xCloud because it hasn't moved up to bigger screens yet. But unless somebody gives it to you, I wouldn't want Stadia. Because
somebody tried to give it to me and I still didn't take it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Stadia Pro does come with some games. You have to go up and claim them, right? It's almost like going it feels like you're, a pioneer and you're going to try to claim some land for gold. Maybe things will work out. Maybe you'll die on the way. I don't know. But and you'll get dysentery
on the way to Oregon.
Yeah, it's really like this wild wasteland at this point, and maybe things will work out in the end based on your investments. I'm not going to waste my money right now. I've claimed what little I have, and right now it's a barren wasteland of snakes and bad, and I don't like it. So I know this is somewhat hyperbolic, but it was a waste of my time, and I'm still feeling like, dude, I just want to have a system that works. Give me something that works. Don't promise me that it is going to somehow understand multiple futures and then going to decide those and figure them out on a computer system to determine which buttons I could possibly press, and then it's going to do that button and stream it somehow faster whenever you can't even register controls going left and right. That was actually something they promised, too. That when they play these games, like, let's take Power Rangers, for instance, it was supposed to predict and then plan for what buttons you were going to press. And then it would do simulations of the games, like 2, 3, 4 simulations. And then depending on which one you've picked, it would go that pathway of streaming. No, it doesn't do that. Okay, I don't know what type of magical voodoo or whoever was in your marketing department, Google, but you have way overpromised and way underdelivered. I'm glad I'm not paying for it, because even if I had paid for it, I would still have to go and pay full price for some of these games that are on sale right now on the PlayStation, that are on sale on the Xbox. And I don't feel like putting down money for something that could work that's most likely not going to work. Thanks for letting me try it, though. That's cool. But anyway, do you have anything that you'd want to say? I know you didn't play it. I couldn't get you to take that from me.
No, I will not take it. I honestly, it looks like a system that may run better, or I don't even want, it's not a system. It may look like it will run better on a wired connection, but the way that they advertise it is not something that I would want to use as my main gaming system, which I would put on a wired connection.
Well, it's,
I mean, if that makes sense. Like, and if it was a system where, like, I could, like, buy a game once and be able to play it on, say, my Xbox or my PlayStation as well as Stadia, like, on the go, I mean, that would be that would be better, but it's not. Like, this is supposed to be some people's primary source of gaming, and it's just not ready.
No, and they try to sell it to you as something that is supposed to be wireless. I mean, it's supposed to be on that magical hockey puck they use, right? The Google Chromecast.
Have you seen the Chromecast where they installed heat sinks?
Exactly, that's the problem. Their hardware is not up to par. It can't handle it. So what Rowdy was saying, they're installing heat sinks on Google Chromecast if you want to run these things on your TV. And they also didn't take into consideration those Chromecasts are put right behind your TV. They kind of like hang off your TV where there is no freaking airflow.
Dude, I've got maybe 10 inches between my TV and the wall, if that. Like, if I were to put a Chromecast back there, not to mention everything else that's plugged into it, like my routers on my entertainment center, there's the Apple TV, there's the Hue Hub, there's my PS4, everything on there that's just like pumping out heat, that thing would dissolve. Wouldn't even melt.
And it really is. And this, we've talked about this in the past, and I feel vindicated because I've complained about this a lot, and I'm sure, I know we've probably lost some views because I've complained about this, but it's not ready, guys. Keep on doing it. Keep on figuring out. Pump out money from people that will somehow pay you for this thing. I'm going to go make sure I delete all my credit card information from this so I don't accidentally pay for a free month for another month of this after the 3 months. But unless things improve, and I'll try to do a monthly playthrough. I'll play a different game every month. I'll torture myself for you.
Dude, the Stadia fans are actually hardcore about this, man. I've seen so many people arguing about how good it is and how well it works for them. So more power to them, man, but it just does not work in our area. Like, we just don't have fast enough internet.
Well, the thing is, though, my internet is beyond what it's trying to do. I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's not trying to pull more than that.
All these people I've seen talk about how good it is, like also brag about their gigabit internet and stuff like that. Yeah. And I understand that they said it could run on as low as 10 megabits per second or something like that. But I'm sorry, you just cannot push a game at 10 megabits per second. You can't push a game at 25 megabits per second. I mean, look at what you said about Power Rangers. And that's not a very graphically heavy game.
No.
It's animated. You get to play as Goldar, for God's sakes. It's good, Travis. You shut your face.
Maybe we'll have to stream that next week when we get back to regular streaming schedules. You can convince me that this game, Power Rangers, is somehow good. I'll believe it. Sure.
It's decent.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for showing up in the Twitch chat and keeping us entertained too while we do this. Don't forget to listen to the show next week. We, I guess, are going to have a regular show. We might have a side quest. Right now, we are kind of going through some transitions. Rowdy with work transitions, me going through all this writing and stuff. But I think next week I'm off. So depending on how things go, it could be a side quest. It could be a regular show. We'll see what happens. Think that's all I got for today. You got anything else, Rowdy?
No, man, that's it.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one, and thanks for listening to the Lamer Gamers Podcast.